The shadow system of Vladivostok. In the wild dawn of 1990s Russia, as the Soviet Union crumbled, Vladivostok became a crucible of ambition and violence, where the spoils of privatization ignited a ruthless struggle for power. Sergei and Alexander Larionov, two brothers who rose from humble Soviet roots, seized the moment, transforming a modest security firm, Rumas, into a sinister empire known as the System. This clandestine network, operating like a secret service, wielded espionage, murder, and terror to dominate the Far East. When Vostok Transflot, a shipping giant with a fleet of vessels and millions in assets, went up for auction in 1992, the Larionovs saw their chance to control the region, but their path was drenched in blood. Employees who dared to defy them vanished: Yevgeny Elizarov, Alexei Vasyukin, swallowed by a chilling code: entry, a ruble, exit, death. The Larionovs' system was a machine of fear, armed with Kalashnikovs, 60 kilograms of TNT, and cutting-edge American surveillance tech, their archives brimming with dossiers on every criminal, businessman, and official in Vladivostok. They assassinated rivals like Vasily Chekhov, burning his body to ash, silenced suspected traitors like Alexei Levada, burying them under a slag heap, and even turned on their own mentor, Vladimir Poluboyarinov, a former naval intelligence officer, executing him and his son in a betrayal that shocked the city. With the help of corrupt militia, they rigged the privatization of Vostok Transflot, turning it into their personal fiefdom in just 5 days, a heist worth millions. But absolute power breeds betrayal. Vadim Goldberg, their trusted intelligence chief, saw the cracks in the empire and plotted to overthrow the brothers, setting off a chain of murders that culminated in a horrifying massacre in a concrete garage, where Sergei Larionov unleashed his final act of vengeance. 5 chapters unravel this harrowing tale of greed and bloodshed, from the Larionovs' rise in Vladivostok's underworld to their audacious heist, through a web of espionage, assassinations, and internal betrayal, to a trial that tested the city's resilience. In a city where the Pacific Ocean hides its secrets, the Larionovs' system operated in the shadows, but their crimes would not stay buried. From the disappearance of employees to the explosion that rocked Sakhainskaya Street, this is a story of a criminal empire that thrived on fear, until it consumed itself. Can justice dismantle a machine built on murder, or will Vladivostok forever bear the scars of the Larionovs' reign? Step into the dark heart of the 1990s Far East, where power was won with a bullet, and the cost was paid in lives. Chapter 1: The Rise of the System. In the lawless sprawl of 1990s Vladivostok, 2 brothers built an empire on the ruins of the Soviet dream, but when their employees started vanishing, the city's darkest secret began to unravel. What started as a security firm would become a machine of murder, and the Larionovs' reign was just beginning. The port of Vladivostok hums with a restless energy in the late autumn of 1993, its docks a chaotic ballet of rusted cranes and weathered ships, the air thick with the tang of salt and diesel. The Soviet Union's collapse 2 years prior has left the city adrift, its once proud fishing fleets and shipping companies now up for grabs in a frenzied wave of privatization. In this new Russia, where the old rules have been swept away, power belongs to those who can seize it, and Sergei and Alexander Larionov are determined to claim their share. The brothers, 34 and 38, stand at the helm of Rumas, a security cooperative they founded in the late 1980s, a venture that began as a modest operation but has grown into something far more sinister. On the surface, Rumas protects Vladivostok's burgeoning businesses, auto shops, real estate firms, and shipping companies, but beneath the facade, it's the cornerstone of what the Larionovs call the System, a clandestine network that operates with the precision of a secret service. As the city's economic potential explodes, the brothers eye their ultimate prize, Vostok Transflot, a shipping giant worth millions, its fleet a gateway to control the Far East. But their ambition comes at a cost, and the first whispers of that cost arrive in late December 1993, when a mother's desperate plea lands on the desk of Vladivostok's Internal Affairs Directorate, a plea that will crack open a darkness the city isn't prepared to face. A city in transition. Vladivostok in 1993 is a city caught between its Soviet past and a chaotic future, its streets a patchwork of crumbling concrete and flickering neon signs heralding the new era of capitalism. The Soviet Union's dissolution has unleashed a wave of privatization, a process that began in Moscow but has now reached the Far East, where the region's most valuable assets, its fishing fleets, shipping companies, and maritime infrastructure, are up for grabs. Vostok Transflot, with its fleet of freezer ships, transport vessels, and repair docks, is the crown jewel, a prize worth millions in a city where the ocean has always been the lifeblood. But the auctions are a feeding frenzy, drawing not just legitimate businessmen but also criminal structures eager to stake their claim. In this lawless landscape, where the militia struggles to keep pace with a rising crime wave, the Larionov brothers see an opportunity to build an empire, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to succeed. Sergei and Alexander Larionov are products of the Soviet system, graduates of the Vladivostok Polytechnic Institute, where they earned their stripes as Komsomol activists, model citizens in a world that no longer exists. Sergei, the younger at 34, is the brains of the operation, a calculating strategist with a knack for navigating the murky waters of post-Soviet business. Alexander, 38, is the muscle, his charisma and ruthlessness a perfect complement to his brother's intellect. In the late 1980s, as Vladivostok became a hub for the Japanese car trade, the brothers seized their chance, founding a string of enterprises, from auto shops to real estate firms, that quickly turned a profit. But their true genius lay in Rumas, a security cooperative that offered protection to the city's new wave of entrepreneurs. On the surface, it was a legitimate business, hiring ex-soldiers to guard warehouses and offices. Beneath the surface, it was the foundation of the system, a shadowy network designed to control Vladivostok's underworld through espionage, intimidation, and murder. The disappearances begin. The first cracks in the Larionovs' facade appear in late December 1993, when a letter arrives at the Vladivostok Internal Affairs Directorate from a mother in Irkutsk, her words trembling with fear. Yevgeny Elizarov, her 29-year-old son, has been missing for 2 months. A quiet, reliable man, Elizarov worked as a security guard for Rumas, a job that paid well but kept him far from home. For 2 years, he called his mother every week without fail, his voice a lifeline across the 4,000 kilometers that separated them. But the calls stopped in October, each unanswered day stretching her worry into dread. She begs the militia to find him, her letter a desperate plea for answers in a city where answers are hard to come by. A week later, another letter arrives, this time from the family of Alexei Vasyukin, a 27-year-old guard at Rumas, who vanished around the same time. Attached is a note from Vasyukin's fiancée, her words sharp with conviction. She believes Sergei Larionov, the head of Rumas, is directly involved. Vasyukin had been uneasy in the months before his disappearance, she writes, hinting at strange things at the firm, late-night meetings, whispered orders, and a growing sense of paranoia among the guards. The last time she saw him, he'd been tense, his eyes darting as if he knew something was coming. Find Larionov, she pleads, her letter a spark that lights the fuse of an investigation the militia can't ignore. The investigation takes shape. At the Vladivostok militia station, a crumbling Soviet-era building with flickering lights and peeling paint, Detective Mikhail Kuznetsov takes the lead, his desk piled high with reports of missing persons, a grim reality in a city where crime is surging. Elizarov and Vasyukin's cases are just two among many, but the connection to Rumas raises alarm bells. Kuznetsov, a veteran who's seen Vladivostok's underworld grow darker with each passing year, knows the Larionovs by reputation, former Komsomol activists turned businessmen, their enterprises a fixture in the city's new economy. But whispers of their darker dealings have long circulated, extortion, intimidation, and a web of influence that stretches into the militia itself. The fiancé's letter, with its direct accusation against Sergei Larionov, is a lead he can't dismiss. Kuznetsov digs deeper, pulling operational intelligence from informants, low-level criminals who trade secrets for leniency. The picture that emerges is chilling. Rumas, is more than a security firm. It's a front for what insiders call the system, a network that operates with the precision of a secret service, gathering intelligence, eliminating rivals, and enforcing loyalty with a brutal code. Elizarov and Vasyukin, the informant's whisper, may have crossed that code, their disappearance is a warning to others. Kuznetsov knows the stakes. If the Larionovs are behind this, they're not just criminals, they're a threat to the city itself. On January 14, 1994, the city prosecutor opens a criminal case, and the next day, Kuznetsov leads an operational team to Larionov's office with a search warrant, unaware that they're about to uncover a darkness that will shake Vladivostok to its core. A city on the edge. Vladivostok holds its breath as the investigation begins, its streets a battleground for forces no one can fully control. The docks, once a symbol of Soviet might, are now a prize in a lawless game, their ships a gateway to wealth and power. The Larionovs, with their system, are poised to seize that prize, but their empire is built on a foundation of fear, and fear has a way of turning inward. The next chapter will take us inside Larionov's office, where a raid uncovers a trove of surveillance tech and weapons, revealing the true nature of the system. As the arrests begin, Vladivostok will face a question: can it stop a machine that thrives on murder, or will the Larionovs' shadow endure? In the 1990s, the Far East is a land of opportunity and death. Chapter 2: The Raid That Shattered the Facade. On a frigid January morning in 1994, Vladivostok's militia stormed Sergei Larionov's office, expecting to find answers about two missing men. What they uncovered was a chilling truth: a secret empire armed with surveillance tech and enough firepower to wage a war. The system was real, and it was more dangerous than anyone imagined. The snow falls in a steady curtain over Vladivostok on January 15, 1994, blanketing the city's docks and streets in a deceptive calm, the kind that masks the storm beneath. At the edge of the industrial district, a nondescript office building bears the faded sign of Rumas, a security cooperative that has operated in the city's shadows for years. Inside, Sergei Larionov, 34, sits at his desk, his face a mask of calculated calm, a phone pressed to his ear as he issues orders in a low, clipped tone. The office is sparse: cracked linoleum floors, a flickering fluorescent light, a Soviet-era calendar peeling from the wall, but it hums with a quiet menace, the air thick with secrets. At 8 a.m., the door bursts open, splintering under the force of a militia battering ram, and Detective Mikhail Kuznetsov leads a team of officers inside, their pistols drawn, their shouts cutting through the stillness: hands up. Don't move. Larionov freezes, his hand still on the phone, his eyes narrowing as the reality of the raid sinks in. What the militia uncovers in the next few hours will shatter the facade of Rumas and expose a darkness that threatens to engulf Vladivostok, a secret system built on espionage, murder, and raw power. A city in the grip of chaos. Vladivostok in early 1994 is a city caught in the throes of transformation, its identity torn between its Soviet past and the lawless promise of a capitalist future. The Soviet Union's collapse 3 years prior has unleashed a wave of privatization, a process that has reached the Far East with a vengeance, turning the region's maritime assets into a battleground for wealth and control. Vostok Transflot, a shipping giant with a fleet of freezer ships, transport vessels, and repair docks, is the ultimate prize, its value measured in millions, a fortune in a city where the ocean has always been the lifeblood. But the auctions are a feeding frenzy, drawing legitimate businessmen, corrupt officials, and criminal structures alike, each eager to stake their claim. In this lawless landscape, the militia struggles to keep pace, their resources stretched thin, their authority undermined by a crime wave that's spiraling out of control. By 1995, Russia will record 32,000 murders, but in 1994, Vladivostok is already a preview of that carnage, its streets a battleground for forces no one can fully contain. Sergei and Alexander Larionov have thrived in this chaos, their rise a testament to their ambition and ruthlessness. Graduates of the Vladivostok Polytechnic Institute, the brothers cut their teeth as Komsomol activists in the 1980s, model citizens in a system that rewarded loyalty over morality. But as the Soviet Union crumbled, they saw opportunity in the ruins, founding a string of enterprises, auto shops, real estate firms, that capitalized on Vladivostok's booming Japanese car trade. Their true genius, however, lay in Rumas, a security cooperative that offered protection to the city's new wave of entrepreneurs. On the surface, it was a legitimate business, hiring ex-soldiers to guard warehouses and offices. Beneath the surface, it was the foundation of the system, a clandestine network designed to control Vladivostok's underworld through espionage, intimidation, and murder. The disappearances of Yevgeny Elizarov and Alexei Vasyukin, two Rumas guards missing since October 1993, have brought the militia to Larionov's door, their families' desperate pleas igniting an investigation that's about to uncover a nightmare. The raid on Larionov's office. Detective Kuznetsov leads the raid with a mix of determination and unease, his team a patchwork of militia officers and special operatives, their pistols drawn, their movements precise. The search warrant in his hand is a fragile shield against the unknown, the accusations against Sergei Larionov, possible involvement in the disappearances of Elizarov and Vasyukin, barely scratching the surface of what they're about to find. Larionov, caught off guard, rises from his chair, his hands raised, his voice calm but laced with steel, "You're making a mistake." Kuznetsov ignores him, his eyes scanning the office for anything that might tie Larionov to the missing men. The room is unassuming at first glance, cracked linoleum, a cluttered desk, a rotary phone, but as the officers begin their search, the facade crumbles, revealing a trove of secrets that chills even the most seasoned among them. In a locked cabinet, they find a cache of surveillance technology that belongs in a spy thriller, not a security firm, devices for tapping phone lines, radio interceptors, portable transmitters, and advanced American-made gadgets capable of listening through walls and windows. Cassettes, labeled in Larionov's precise handwriting, contain recordings of intercepted conversations, militia officers discussing operations, airline pilots talking to dispatchers, even local officials negotiating deals. The scope of the surveillance is staggering, a web of espionage that reaches into every corner of Vladivostok's power structure. Kuznetsov's hands tremble as he plays a tape, the crackling voice of a militia captain discussing a raid Larionov clearly knew about in advance. "What the hell is this?" an officer mutters, his voice low, the weight of the discovery sinking in. This isn't just a security firm, it's a shadow operation, system designed to control the city through secrets and fear. The arsenal of a hidden army. The raid takes a darker turn when the officers uncover a set of keys hidden in a drawer, keys that lead them to a conspiratorial apartment across town, a safe house that reveals the true extent of Larionov's empire. Inside, they find an arsenal that could arm a small army, Kalashnikov automatic rifles, a carbine with an optical scope, pistols of various makes, crates of grenades, thousands of rounds of ammunition, and 60 kilograms of TNT, complete with everything needed for explosive operations. The weapons are meticulously organized, their surfaces clean, their presence a chilling testament to the violence Larionov's system is capable of unleashing. Kuznetsov, standing among the crates, feels a cold dread settle in his gut. This isn't just a criminal operation, it's a paramilitary force, one that could wage war on Vladivostok itself. The discovery of the weapons and surveillance tech transforms the investigation, shifting it from a missing persons case to a hunt for a major criminal organization. The city prosecutor, informed of the findings, signs an arrest warrant for Sergei Larionov that same day, January 15, 1994. Larionov, cuffed and led from his office, remains silent, his face a mask of cold defiance, but his eyes betray a flicker of unease. He knows the walls are closing in. In the days that follow, the militia, working with Primorsky Krai security services, tracks down and arrests several of Larionov's associates, employees of Rumas, who doubled as operatives in the system. 4 others are placed on a federal wanted list, but the coordinated efforts of law enforcement soon bring them in, their captures swift and precise. The arrests send a ripple through Vladivostok's underworld, a signal that the Larionovs' empire is under siege, but the true scale of their operations is only beginning to emerge. The system revealed. As the arrested gang members are interrogated, the militia begins to piece together the structure of the system, a revelation that sends shockwaves through the investigation. Larionov's men, facing the weight of the evidence, start to talk, their confessions painting a picture of an organization that operates with the precision of a secret service. They call it the system, a term that slips from their lips with a mix of pride and fear, and its structure is chillingly sophisticated. At its core are divisions of intelligence, counterintelligence, an analytical center, and a special forces brigade, each unit designed to gather information, eliminate threats, and enforce loyalty. The system has dossiers on every major player in Vladivostok's underworld, businessmen, criminals, even local thieves-in-law, the region's most notorious crime bosses. Each target has a file, complete with a detailed questionnaire far beyond a standard employee form, cataloging their weaknesses, alliances, and secrets. The militia uncovers an archive from another safe house, a trove of documents that reveals the system's reach. There are files on local militia leaders, their habits and vulnerabilities meticulously noted, hinting at potential corruption. Larionov wasn't just spying, he was looking for allies within the law. Another volume details regional administrators, their every move tracked by the system's analytical team, gathering intelligence that could be used for blackmail or leverage. The surveillance tech, the weapons, the dossiers, all of it points to a single goal: control. The Larionovs weren't just criminals, they were architects of a shadow empire, one that aimed to dominate Vladivostok's economy and underworld through fear and information. Kuznetsov, poring over the files late into the night, feels a chill as he realizes the scope of what they're up against. This isn't just about two missing men, it's about a city held hostage by a machine of murder and espionage. A city on the precipice. Vladivostok reels as news of the arrest spreads, its streets buzzing with whispers of the system and the Larionovs' downfall. The docks, once a symbol of the city's maritime might, are now a battleground for power, their ships a prize that the Larionovs nearly claimed. The militia, bolstered by the arrests, braces for what's next, their investigation handed to a special task force from the General Prosecutor's office, a sign of the case's complexity and the danger it poses. But the city knows the war isn't over. The Larionovs' system may be exposed, but its roots run deep, its operatives scattered, its secrets still hidden in the shadows. The next chapter will take us deeper into the system's operations, as the militia uncovers the murders of Chekhov, Schmidt, and Levada, and learns of the Larionovs' recruitment of Vladimir Poluboyarinov, a former naval intelligence officer whose expertise will shape their empire, and seal his fate. In a city where the ocean hides its secrets, the Larionovs' reign of terror is just beginning to unfold. How many more lives will fall before the system is dismantled, and can Vladivostok survive its grip? Chapter 3: The System's Bloody Blueprint. In the icy shadows of Vladivostok's underworld, the Larionov brothers turned their system into a killing machine, eliminating rivals and silencing traitors with ruthless precision. But as the bodies piled up, they sought a mastermind to perfect their empire, a decision that would seal their fate in blood. The Primorsky Krai spring is a fleeting thing, a brief thaw that gives way to biting winds off the Pacific, and on a chilly morning in May 1992, Vasily Chekhov, a notorious crime boss, strides through Vladivostok's First May district with a swagger that belies the danger he's in. Known as a Polozanets, a coordinator for the city's criminal underworld, Chekhov has been tasked by Vladivostok's thieves-in-law to oversee the district, collecting tribute for the communal fund and keeping the gangs in line. But the Larionov brothers, Sergei and Alexander, have other plans. From their office at Rumas, the security cooperative that masks their shadowy system, they watch Chekhov's movements through a web of informants, their faces hard with resolve. Chekhov is a threat, a rival who could undermine their control, and the Larionovs don't share power, they eliminate it. That afternoon, two corrupt militia officers, paid off by the system, arrest Chekhov and his associate Schmidt under false pretenses, driving them to the city's outskirts where the Larionov Special Forces Brigade waits. The execution is swift, bullets to the head, their bodies doused in gasoline and set ablaze in a ravine, the flames licking the sky as the system sends a message: no one challenges the Larionovs and lives. A city under siege. Vladivostok in 1992 is a city on the edge, its streets a battleground for power as the Soviet Union's collapse unleashes a wave of privatization that turns the Far East into a crucible of greed. The region's maritime assets, fishing fleets, shipping companies, and docks, are the ultimate prize, with Vostok Transflot, a shipping giant worth millions, at the heart of the struggle. The auctions draw a mix of players, legitimate businessmen, corrupt officials, and criminal structures, each vying for control in a city where the ocean has always been the lifeblood. The militia, underfunded and overstretched, struggles to keep pace with a crime wave that's spiraling out of control, their authority undermined by corruption and fear. By 1995, Russia will record 32,000 murders, but in 1992, Vladivostok is already a grim preview, its docks and back alleys a stage for violence that knows no bounds. Sergei and Alexander Larionov have thrived in this chaos, their empire built on the ruins of the Soviet dream. Graduates of the Vladivostok Polytechnic Institute, the brothers rose from Komsomol activists to criminal masterminds, founding a string of enterprises, auto shops, real estate firms, that capitalized on the city's Japanese car trade. But their true power lies in Rumas, a security cooperative that serves as a front for the system, a clandestine network that operates with the precision of a secret service. The January 1994 raid on Larionov's office, sparked by the disappearances of guards Yevgeny Elizarov and Alexei Vasyukin, uncovered a chilling truth: surveillance tech, a massive weapons cache, Kalashnikovs, 60 kilograms of TNT, grenades, and an archive of dossiers on Vladivostok's power players. The system has divisions of intelligence, counterintelligence, an analytical center, and a special forces brigade, all designed to control the city through fear and information. But control comes at a cost, and the Larionovs are willing to pay in blood. The murders that shaped the system. The murders of Vasily Chekhov and Schmidt in May 1992 are a turning point for the system, a bloody declaration of the Larionovs' intent to dominate Vladivostok's underworld. Chekhov, a Polozanets appointed by the city's thieves-in-law, posed a direct threat to the Larionovs' control of the 1st May district, a key territory in their expanding empire. The brothers, unwilling to share power or tribute, ordered their special forces brigade to eliminate him, a task executed with chilling efficiency. The corrupt militia officers, paid off with the Larionovs' dirty money, arrested Chekhov and Schmidt on fabricated charges, delivering them to a remote ravine where the brigade waited. The execution is methodical, bullets to the head, their bodies doused in gasoline, the flames erasing any trace of the crime as the system sends a message to Vladivostok's underworld: defiance means death. But the Larionovs' ruthlessness isn't limited to external rivals. Within the system, loyalty is enforced with an iron fist, and betrayal is met with swift retribution. Alexei Levada, a member of the system, becomes a liability when the Larionovs suspect he's turned informant for the militia. The brothers, paranoid and unyielding, order a counterintelligence operation, subjecting Levada to a polygraph test, a chilling detail uncovered later by the militia. The results, deemed unsatisfactory by Sergei Larionov, seal Levada's fate. Along with an associate who accidentally stumbled into the system's secrets, Levada is driven to a slag heap near a local power plant, where the brothers' enforcers strangle them both, their bodies buried under layers of industrial waste. The calculation is precise: the slag heap, accumulating for years, ensures the bodies won't be found without a monumental effort, an effort the militia will later undertake, peeling back dozens of meters of debris to uncover the grim truth. Espionage and ambition. The murders of Chekhov, Schmidt, and Levada are just the beginning, a bloody blueprint for the system's operations as the Larionovs tighten their grip on Vladivostok. At the heart of their empire is a sophisticated espionage network, uncovered during the 1994 raid but built over years of meticulous planning. The system's intelligence division, led by Vadim Goldberg, a man who will later play a pivotal role in the Larionovs' downfall, gathers information with ruthless efficiency. Their dossiers a catalogue of Vladivostok's power players. Businessmen, criminals, even the city's notorious thieves-in-law, are tracked, their weaknesses, alliances, and secrets meticulously noted in detailed questionnaires that go far beyond a standard employee form. The counterintelligence unit, responsible for rooting out internal threats like Levada, operates with a paranoia that borders on obsession, their polygraph tests a chilling testament to the system's control. The Analytical Center, a shadowy hub of the system, collects intelligence on local militia leaders and regional administrators, their every move tracked for potential blackmail or leverage. The Surveillance Tech, American-made devices for listening through walls, interceptors for phone lines and radio signals, allows the Larionovs to monitor conversations across the city, from militia operations to airline communications. The system isn't just a criminal organization, it's a shadow government, one that seeks to control Vladivostok through information as much as violence. But as their empire grows, the brothers realize they need expertise to take their operations to the next level, expertise that can only come from a professional. The recruitment of Poluboyarinov. In the summer of 1992, the Larionovs make a fateful decision, recruiting Vladimir Poluboyarinov, a former captain first rank in the Pacific Fleet's intelligence unit, to serve as the system's chief consultant. Poluboyarinov, a high-ranking officer with a decorated career, brings a wealth of experience, successful operations against foreign naval intelligence, a mastery of espionage tactics, and a reputation as a high-class specialist. But he's also known for his volatile temper and vanity, traits that will later prove his undoing. The Larionovs see him as the key to perfecting their empire, a mentor who can elevate the system into a true secret service. Poluboyarinov, eager to flex his skills in a new arena, accepts, unaware that he's stepping into a machine that devours its own. Poluboyarinov's impact is immediate, his expertise shaping the system into a more lethal force. He drills the Larionovs' operatives in the principles of espionage, teaching them the art of intelligence gathering, counterintelligence, and psychological manipulation. Under his guidance, Vadim Goldberg, the head of the intelligence division, becomes a star pupil, mastering the intricacies of surveillance and interrogation. Poluboyarinov instills a core principle that becomes the system's mantra: entry, a ruble, exit, death. It's a code that ensures loyalty through fear, a code that will later claim his own life. The operatives train relentlessly, completing assignments, passing exams, their skills honed for a single purpose: the privatization of Vostok Transflot, the shipping giant that will cement the Larionovs' control over Vladivostok. But Poluboyarinov's presence, while transformative, introduces a new tension. His vanity and ambition will soon clash with the Larionovs' paranoia, setting the stage for a betrayal that will shake the system to its core. A city in the dark. Vladivostok remains oblivious to the system's growing power, its streets humming with the tension of a city on the edge. The docks, where Vostok Transflot's ships lie at anchor, are a prize that the Larionovs are closer than ever to claiming, their espionage and violence clearing the path. But the bodies, Chekhov, Schmidt, Levada, are a grim reminder of the cost, their deaths a warning to anyone who dares to cross the brothers. The militia, still piecing together the disappearances of Elizarov and Vasyukin, is unaware of the full extent of the system's operations, but the arrests have set them on a collision course with the Larionovs' empire. The next chapter will take us to the heart of the system's greatest triumph, the rigged privatization of Vostok Transflot, and its darkest crimes, as the Larionovs target Vladimir Petrikov and turn on Poluboyarinov, their mentor, in a chilling act of betrayal. In a city where the Pacific Ocean hides its secrets, the system is a machine of murder and ambition, but even the most perfect machines can break. How much more blood will Vladivostok shed before the Larionovs' reign ends? Chapter 4: The Prize and the Purge. In the heart of Vladivostok's underworld, the Larionov brothers orchestrated a heist that would crown their empire, but as they tightened their grip on Vostok Transflot, their system began to devour its own. A rival's escape, a mentor's betrayal, and a city rocked by explosions marked the beginning of the end for the Larionovs' reign of terror. The summer sun glints off the rusted hulls of Vostok Transflot's freezer ships anchored in Vladivostok's harbor, their decks bustling with workers unaware of the storm brewing on shore. It's July 1992, and the city is abuzz with news. The shipping giant, a cornerstone of the Far East's maritime economy, is up for privatization, a prize worth millions in a region where the ocean dictates power. In a nondescript office across town, Sergei and Alexander Larionov pore over a meticulously crafted plan, their faces lit by the glow of ambition. The brothers, 34 and 38, have built a criminal empire disguised as a security firm, Rumas, its true nature, a clandestine system of espionage and murder, exposed by a January 1994 militia raid that uncovered surveillance tech, a massive weapons cache, and a web of dossiers. Now, with their Special Forces Brigade and intelligence network honed to perfection, the Larionovs are poised to seize Vostok Transflot, rigging the auction to ensure their control. But their victory comes at a cost. Rival Vladimir Petrikov survives a bomb meant to silence him, and within the system, betrayal festers, as the Larionovs turn on their own mentor, Vladimir Poluboyarinov, in a purge that will shake Vladivostok to its core. A city ripe for plunder. Vladivostok in 1992 is a city on the edge, its identity torn between a fading Soviet past and a chaotic capitalist future. The Soviet Union's collapse has unleashed a wave of privatization, turning the Far East into a battleground for wealth and control. Vostok Transflot, with its fleet of freezer ships, transport vessels, repair docks, and a sprawling shoreside infrastructure, is the ultimate prize, its value measured in tens of millions, a fortune in a city where the Pacific has always been the lifeblood. The auctions draw a mix of players, legitimate businessmen, corrupt officials, and criminal structures, each vying for a piece of the maritime empire. The militia, underfunded and overstretched, is a hollow shell, their authority undermined by a crime wave that will peak at 32,000 murders nationwide by 1995. In this lawless landscape, the Larionov brothers have thrived, their system a machine of espionage and violence that has already claimed lives. Vasily Chekhov and Schmidt, executed and burned in a ravine, and Alexei Levada, strangled and buried under a slag heap for suspected betrayal. Sergei and Alexander Larionov are architects of this new criminal order, their empire built on the ruins of the Soviet dream. Graduates of the Vladivostok Polytechnic Institute, the brothers rose from consummate activists to criminal masterminds, founding Rumas as a front for their system. The January 1994 raid, sparked by the disappearances of guards Yevgeny Elizarov and Alexei Vasyukin, uncovered a chilling truth: surveillance tech for intercepting communications, 60 kilograms of TNT, Kalashnikovs, and dossiers on Vladivostok's power players. The system operates like a secret service, with divisions of intelligence, counterintelligence, an analytical center, and a special forces brigade, all honed under the guidance of Vladimir Poluboyarinov, a former naval intelligence officer recruited in 1992. Poluboyarinov's mantra, entry, a ruble, exit, death, has become the system's law, ensuring loyalty through fear. But as the Larionovs like Vostok Transflot, their ambition will test that law, and the cracks in their empire will begin to show. The rigged privatization. The privatization of Vostok Transflot is a masterclass in corruption, a heist orchestrated by Sergei Larionov, the system's brain. The brothers, leveraging their web of informants and corrupt allies, devise a plan to rig the auction, ensuring they secure the controlling stake. A curated list of buyers, Larionov loyalists, front men, and a few company insiders for appearances, guarantees their dominance, while regional banks, influenced by the system's blackmail, provide a special credit line to fund the purchase. On the day of the auction, the system's Special Forces Brigade cordons off the building, admitting only those on the list, their Kalashnikovs hidden but their intent clear. Local militia, paid off or coerced, assist, turning a blind eye as the Larionovs bend the law to their will. What should take 2 months under legal protocols is over in 5 days. Vostok Transflot becomes an Larionov-controlled entity, its assets now theirs, a multi-million-dollar empire secured through fear and manipulation. But not everyone accepts the outcome. Vladimir Chekhov, a prominent Vladivostok businessman with his own ties to the underworld, emerges as a thorn in the Larionovs' side, publicly denouncing the privatization as a sham. Chekhov's influence and connections make him a dangerous foe, one the Larionovs can't ignore. On the night of April 14, 1993, Sakhainskaya Street is rocked by a deafening explosion, the blast tearing through an upper-floor apartment, collapsing walls and shattering windows. Residents, jolted awake, stumble into the street, their faces pale with shock as emergency crews pull 4 bodies and 10 wounded from the rubble. The militia arrives, their investigation revealing a powerful explosive device planted at the apartment, the home of Chekhov, who miraculously survives, though his defiance is silenced by the near-death experience. Forensic experts find fresh fingerprints and shoe prints on the rooftop staircase, but the trail goes cold, though Larionov's involvement a suspicion the militia can't yet prove. The purge within. As the Larionovs tighten their grip on Vostok Transflot, the system begins to devour its own, its code of loyalty turning inward with deadly consequences. Vladimir Poluboyarinov, the former naval intelligence officer recruited in 1992, has been instrumental in shaping the system, his expertise elevating its operations to new heights. But his vanity and ambition, noted in every military evaluation, clash with the Larionovs' paranoia. In early 1993, the brothers notice strange behavior in Poluboyarinov, whispers of discontent, a growing arrogance that suggests he might want more than his role as consultant. Vadim Goldberg, the system's intelligence chief and Poluboyarinov's star pupil, is tasked with a covert operation, infiltrate Poluboyarinov's trust and uncover his intentions. Goldberg, a master of deception, gains the older man's confidence, and Poluboyarinov lets slip a dangerous truth: he wants to eliminate the Larionovs and take control of the system himself. The confession seals Poluboyarinov's fate. Sergei Larionov, unwilling to tolerate betrayal, devises a plan as cold as it is calculated. Poluboyarinov and his son are sent on a fabricated business trip to St. Petersburg, a journey they'll never complete. On the way to the airport, the Larionov Special Forces Brigade, led by enforcer Mikhail Sokolov, intercepts them, diverting their car to an abandoned coal mine on the city's outskirts. There, Poluboyarinov and his son are executed, bullets to the head, their bodies dumped in the mine, a grim lesson in the system's code: entry, a ruble, exit, death. To cover their tracks, Sokolov's team stages a deception, surrendering Poluboyarinov's tickets to St. Petersburg at the airport and purchasing new ones to Khabarovsk. 2 operatives, using the victims' passports, board the flight, then slip away unnoticed, while a fake telegram from Khabarovsk, purportedly from Poluboyarinov, arrives for his unsuspecting wife, a cruel illusion of life that will soon unravel. Dissent in the ranks. The killings of Poluboyarinov and his son send a chill through the system, a reminder of the Larionovs' ruthlessness, but they also sow the seeds of dissent. The system is a machine of fear, its operatives trained to obey without question, but the promise of wealth from Vostok Transflot has raised expectations. The rank and file, ex-soldiers hired with promises of high salaries, apartments, and cars, grow restless, their loyalty tested by the reality of their meager $250 monthly wages while the Larionovs amass millions. Mikhail Sokolov, the system's enforcer and a professional killer, later confesses to earning the same paltry sum for his deadly work, a fact that stuns investigators. The operatives, once disciplined and loyal, begin to whisper among themselves, their discontent a growing threat to the Larionovs' control. Vadim Goldberg, the intelligence chief who betrayed Poluboyarinov, senses the shifting tides, his own ambition fueled by the same discontent. Trained under Poluboyarinov's tutelage, Goldberg has mastered the art of espionage, but he's also learned the system's brutal truth: no one is safe, not even its architects. As the Larionovs bask in their victory over Vostok Transflot, Goldberg begins to plot, his mind turning to a dangerous idea: eliminate the brothers and take control of the empire himself. The system, built on fear and loyalty, is starting to crack, its operatives divided, their greed and fear a ticking bomb. The Larionovs, oblivious to the growing threat, continue their reign, unaware that the machine they've created is about to turn on them. A city in the crosshairs. Vladivostok remains a city in the crosshairs, its docks a symbol of the wealth the Larionovs have seized, its streets haunted by the ghosts of their victims. The explosion on Sakhainskaya Street, the murders of Chekhov, Schmidt, Levada, and now Poluboyarinov, are grim reminders of the system's reach, their crimes hidden beneath layers of deception. The militia, still piecing together the disappearances of Elizarov and Vasyukin, is closing in, their investigation fueled by the 1994 raid and the arrests that followed. But the Larionovs' empire is far from broken, its operatives scattered, its secrets buried deep. The next chapter will take us to the system's final act, the betrayal of Alexander Larionov by Goldberg, Sergei's brutal revenge in a concrete garage, and the trial that will test Vladivostok's resilience. In a city where the Pacific Ocean hides its secrets, the Larionovs' reign of terror is reaching its climax, but the cost of their ambition will be paid in blood. How much more can Vladivostok endure before the system collapses, and will justice prevail in a city scarred by murder? Chapter 5: The System's Final Reckoning. In a concrete garage on the outskirts of Vladivostok, Sergei Larionov unleashed a vengeance that would end his empire in a haze of poison and betrayal. As the city faced the trial of the decade, the system that terrorized the Far East collapsed, but could Vladivostok ever escape the shadows of its darkest chapter? The wind howls through the industrial outskirts of Vladivostok on a bleak spring night in 1994, carrying the tang of salt from the Pacific as it sweeps across a nondescript concrete garage. Inside, Sergei Larionov, 34, stands over a trapdoor, his face a mask of cold fury, his hands steady as he oversees a chilling act of retribution. Below, in a sealed basement, 6 men, once loyal operatives of his system, claw at the walls, their breaths ragged as carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide from rigged canisters flood the space, a deadly concoction Larionov devised with the precision of a chemist. Vadim Goldberg, the system's intelligence chief, stands beside him, his face pale, his hands trembling as he connects the hoses, knowing he's just betrayed his own allies to save himself. The men in the basement were part of a plot to overthrow the Larionovs, a plot that claimed Alexander Larionov's life days earlier, and now Sergei's wrath is absolute. The system, a clandestine empire built on espionage and murder, is imploding, its code, entry, a ruble, exit, death, fulfilled in a final, horrifying act. But as the bodies are dumped into the ocean, Vladivostok braces for a trial that will lay bare the system's crimes, a reckoning that will test the city's ability to heal from a nightmare that nearly broke it. A city scarred by terror. Vladivostok in 1994 is a city haunted by its own shadows, its streets a testament to the cost of unchecked ambition in the wake of the Soviet Union's collapse. The privatization wave that swept through the Far East turned the region into a battleground for wealth, with Vostok Transflot, a shipping giant worth millions, as the ultimate prize. Sergei and Alexander Larionov seized that prize in 1992, rigging the auction with their system, a clandestine network disguised as the security firm Rumas. The January 1994 raid on Larionov's office, sparked by the disappearances of guards Yevgeny Elizarov and Alexei Vasyukin, uncovered a chilling truth: surveillance tech, 60 kilograms of TNT, Kalashnikovs, and dossiers on Vladivostok's power players, revealing a structure of intelligence, counterintelligence, and a special forces brigade. The system eliminated rivals like Vasily Chekhov and Schmidt, silenced suspected traitors like Alexei Levada, and turned on its own mentor, Vladimir Poluboyarinov, executing him and his son in 1993. The attempted murder of Vladimir Petrikov, an explosion on Sakhainskaya Street that killed 4 and wounded 10, showed the system's reach, but dissent within its ranks, fueled by unfulfilled promises of wealth, set the stage for its collapse. Sergei and Alexander Larionov, once Komsomol activists turned criminal masterminds, built their empire on fear, their operatives trained by Poluboyarinov to operate like a secret service. But the system's success with Vostok Transflot bred resentment. Operatives like Mikhail Sokolov, a professional killer, earned just $250 a month while the brothers amassed millions. Vadim Goldberg, the intelligence chief who betrayed Poluboyarinov, saw the cracks and plotted to seize control, a decision that would ignite the system's final, bloody chapter. Vladivostok, battered by years of terror, now watches as the Larionovs' empire faces justice, its docks and streets scarred by a war that claimed dozens of lives. The question lingers, can the city heal, or will the system's shadow endure? The betrayal and the fall. The system's collapse begins with Goldberg's betrayal, a calculated move born of ambition and fear. In early 1994, as the operatives grow restless, their meager wages a stark contrast to the Larionovs' wealth, Goldberg senses an opportunity. He rallies a faction of discontented members, their loyalty to the brothers eroded by broken promises, and devises a plan to eliminate Sergei and Alexander, positioning himself as the system's new leader. The operatives split into two groups, one to target Alexander, the other Sergei, but Alexander, more exposed, becomes the first casualty. Using a tactic known as the web, the conspirators set up surveillance in likely locations, their trap closing after days of watching. They ambush Alexander in a remote area outside Vladivostok, their bullets swift, his body dumped in an unmarked grave, his death a shockwave through the system. Sergei, alerted by the sudden silence from his brother, senses the betrayal, his paranoia honed by years of running a machine built on fear. 3 days after Alexander's murder, one of the conspirators calls Sergei, requesting a meeting at their auto lot to discuss business. But Sergei's instincts, sharpened by survival, tell him something is wrong, Alexander's absence, the vague excuses, the tension in the caller's voice. Instead of walking into the trap, Sergei gathers his remaining loyalists and strikes first, capturing Goldberg in a swift raid. Under interrogation, Goldberg crumbles, confessing the plot and naming the conspirators who killed Alexander, trading their lives for his own. Sergei, his fury a cold, unyielding force, tracks down the 6 traitors with the help of corrupt militia allies, their arrests swift and silent, their fate sealed in a concrete garage on the city's edge. The Garage Massacre. The garage on Vladivostok's outskirts is a fortress of concrete, its walls stained with oil and time, its isolation a perfect stage for Sergei's vengeance. The 6 conspirators. Goldberg's allies, including Pron and Bondarin, are brought to the garage, their hands bound, their faces pale with the realization of what's coming. Sergei, his brother's death a wound that fuels his rage, has devised a method as cruel as it is calculated, carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, a lethal combination he researched with chilling precision, consulting chemistry experts to ensure its potency. The men are forced into a sealed basement, the trapdoor locked above them, as Sergei and Goldberg, a reluctant participant spared to prove his loyalty, connect hoses from canisters and a nearby car's exhaust to the chamber. The gas floods the space, the men's screams fading into gasps, their hands clawing at the walls in a futile bid for air. Sergei watches, his face impassive, as the system's code, entry, a ruble, exit, death, is fulfilled, the basement a tomb for those who dared to betray him. The bodies are stripped, wrapped in burlap sacks, and weighted with stones, their disposal a grim ritual overseen by Sokolov, the system's enforcer. Under cover of darkness, they're loaded onto a hired boat, its captain plied with vodka to ensure his silence, and taken out to the Pacific. The sacks are dumped into the ocean, the waves swallowing the evidence of Sergei's wrath, their resting place a secret the sea will keep, for a time. But the massacre, though a victory for Sergei, marks the beginning of the end, the system's internal fractures too deep to mend, its operatives scattered, its power unraveling. The trial and the verdict. By April 1995, the Vladivostok regional courtroom, a relic of Soviet architecture with its cracked benches and faded banners, becomes the stage for a trial that grips the city. The General Prosecutor's Office, having taken over the case, presents a mountain of evidence, the surveillance tech, the weapons cache, the dossiers, and the bodies, Levada's under the slag heap, Poluboyarinov's in the coal mine, and fragments of the garage conspirators' clothing, burned but not destroyed, their buttons and belt buckles a grim testament to their fate. The trial reveals 18 murders, a litany of terror that includes Chekhov, Schmidt, Petrikov's near death, and the internal purges that claimed Poluboyarinov and the conspirators. Sergei Larionov, the last brother standing, faces charges alongside 10 of his operatives, their faces a mix of defiance and resignation as the prosecution builds its case. The system's operatives, once loyal, turn on each other under the weight of the evidence, but on the day of the final verdict, they retract their confessions in a coordinated act of defiance, their communication maintained through a secret prison network. Sergei, his face a mask of cold calculation, remains silent, his belief in Vostok Transflot's wealth and influence unshaken, he thinks power will save him. But the evidence is ironclad, the bodies too many to ignore. The judge delivers a verdict of guilty on all counts. Organized crime, murder, extortion, sentencing Sergei and his operatives to life imprisonment, a rare punishment in a Russia still finding its legal footing. The courtroom erupts in gasps and sobs, families of the victims, Levada's mother, Poluboyarinov's wife, clutching photos, their tears a mix of relief and lingering pain. A city's aftermath. Vladivostok begins the slow process of healing, its docks stirring back to life, but the scars of the system run deep. The Pacific Ocean, a silent witness to the Larionovs' crimes, holds the bodies of the garage conspirators, their burlap sacks discovered months later in Ushuri Bay, one identified as Chavnik, the seventh traitor, executed separately. The burned clothing, the buttons, the belt buckles, all tie the crimes to the garage, a final piece of evidence that seals the case. The city's markets, once quiet with fear, buzz again, but the elderly keep their doors locked, their trust in the militia fractured by years of corruption. Vostok Transflot, the prize that fueled the Larionovs' ambition, is wrested from their control, its assets redistributed, but its legacy is tainted by the blood that secured it. The 1990s rewrote Vladivostok's rules, turning the Far East into a land of opportunity and death. The Larionovs' system, a machine of espionage and murder, leaves a legacy that shapes the decade. New criminal empires rise, their leaders learning from the brothers' mistakes, their methods more sophisticated, their reach wider. By 1995, the city is carved up again, its docks a battleground for fresh players, the Larionovs' names fading into legend, a cautionary tale of ambition and betrayal. The militia, haunted by the bodies they couldn't find in time, trains new recruits, their methods modernizing, but the wounds of 1991 to 1994 linger, etched into the city streets and the ocean's depths. Can Vladivostok truly heal, or will the system's shadow endure, a reminder of an era when power was won with a bullet and the cost was paid in lives?
Don't scroll past. Hit like and subscribe if you're ready for the next twisted story.